This is the QTV Nightly News, which is also on Q Radio 103.3 FM, and I'm Jacqueline Collie. Thank you for joining us. Here are the headlines. A video released by the Ministry of Youth and Sports has raised fresh hope that long-running renovation of the Independence Stadium is nearing its end, and the facility could finally secure approval to host international matches again. We have a special report. The Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration, the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Authority, NACA, and other stakeholders are meeting to validate the country's draft national apprenticeship policy. In Côte d'Ivoire, the West Africa Coastal Areas Management Program, WACA, is working with vulnerable communities to strengthen their resilience. The project there has parallels with WACA's interventions in the Gambia. In international news, the Republic of Congo, sometimes called Congo-Brazzaville, celebrates 66 years of independence today. Also in international news, the Democratic Republic of Congo is battling the second largest Ebola outbreak ever recorded, with over 4,000 confirmed cases and almost 2,000 deaths reported as of August 7th. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Do stay. Many thanks for joining us. Now, the Ministry of Youth and Sports has released new video showing what it says is the current state of the National Stadium, raising fresh hopes that the long-running renovation is nearing its end and the facility could finally secure approval to host international matches again. This special report by Adedrame, which is narrated by Yafa Tugay, looks at the latest developments and some of the previous high hopes surrounding the project.
To the non-expert eye, these latest pictures offer plenty of reasons for optimism. A transformed Independence Stadium, upgraded spectator areas, facilities and infrastructure, and a pitch taking shape at the venue Gambians have long regarded as the home of national sport. But there is one important question that remains unanswered. Will it pass the required inspection and finally reopen for international football? For Gambian supporters, optimism comes with caution because they have been here before. In December 2025, President Adama Barrow visited the stadium as concerns grew over the lengthy renovation. By then, the project has suffered repeated delays, following the decision by the Confederation of African Football to prevent the Gambia from hosting international matches at the stadium. The president acknowledged the frustration and appealed for patience, while assuring Gambians that the work could be completed.
Be patient. Our country is a small country. Our resources are not enough. And we are very much challenged and concerned when it comes to resources. But the level of commitment and the political will is very, very strong.
The president also outlined a broader ambition for the complex, including an athletics track and improved access roads, while stressing the need to meet international requirements.
You have to be very innovative. You have to be clever in doing things. As we are doing the batting hiding part, phase 3, we just lumped it in that phase 3 so that it will be the same project. So it will be a donor-funded project. And also, because it is a donor-funded project, the road will be first class.
Then came another hopeful moment. In January 2026, Youth and Sports Minister Bakari Y. Baji led journalists on a tour of the facility. By that stage, the renovation was reported to have cost $376 million. The tour revealed new VIP lounges, dressing rooms, media and officials' facilities, and equipment for maintaining the pitch. And the ministry expressed confidence that the Gambia could be able to host CAF qualifiers at the stadium in June.
Additionally, we are refurbishing the entire electrical work and also the plumbing system that we have here, and changing all the bathrooms and all the electrical and everything.
A day later, further details emerged about just how much the stadium was changing. Its capacity was reduced to around 12,000, Although we have also heard some say it could be reduced to 16,000, with officials saying the change was necessary for safety, crowd management, and the compliance of CAF and FIFA requirements. Now emergency exits and additional CCTV coverage were among the safety improvements. And for the first time, dedicated facilities were being provided for spectators with disabilities.
In the past, people with disability or those physically challenged would normally come in with their wheelchair and sit around underneath the pavilion. Now that curve is changing now that we must have a designated area for them.
There were also plans for an upgraded athletics track, while engineers worked on hybrid grass pitch, drainage and irrigation, another crucial part of the effort to meet international standards.
It's just a few days time, we will start the seeding. The artificial turf that is there before is there. We did not remove it. We just add some sand on top of it to have a reinforcement and put new seed on it.
Now, these latest images are again raising expectations. For a generation of Gambian football supporters, the wait has been painful. The national team had to play designated home matches outside the country, denying supporters the chance to watch them compete at home and adding to the additional financial and logistical burden of international football. The Independent Stadium opened in 1984 and underwent a major renovation in 2011. But after it failed to meet the required standards, the long road towards rehabilitation began again. The latest pictures suggest that road may finally be approaching its destination. But attractive pictures alone cannot reopen a stadium. The decisive verdict will come when the facility is inspected and judged against the standards required for international competition. Until then, there is renewed hope. But after years of delay and previous expectations that did not materialize, many Gambian sport fans may prefer to wait for the final approval before celebrating. Reporting for QTV News, this is Yafat Gay.
Now, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, in collaboration with the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Authority, NACA, convened a stakeholders meeting to validate the country's draft national apprenticeship policy. I was there and this is my report. The training combines classroom learning with practical, supervised experience in a real workplace. It allows learners to acquire technical and professional skills while working alongside experienced practitioners, providing an opportunity to apply their knowledge in a practical setting. For the Gambia, the approach is seen as an important tool to strengthen technical and vocational education and training TVET and address the gap between what young people learn and the skills employers need. Professor Pierre Gomez, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, highlighted some of the challenges employers face, which prompted the introduction of the draft policy.
Despite significant progress in expanding access to education and training, many employers continue to report shortages of appropriately skilled workers. At the same time, many young graduates struggle to secure meaningful employment because they often lack practical workplace experience.
Professor Gomez emphasized why the education system, especially tertiary education, needs to change.
Education must be meaningful. Education must make sense. I keep on repeating, we cannot continue training our people for them to leave our classrooms, graduate, and then when they now face the real world, for them to be retrained.
While many young Gambians graduate from schools and training institutions each year, employers often require practical experience and job-specific competencies. Here is Asetu Uba, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology.
The National Apprenticeship Policy is developed to establish a structured, competency-based system of education and training that may be delivered through formal or informal apprenticeship arrangements. It seeks to integrate institutional learning with supervised workplace training to produce competent, work-ready graduates.
Dr. Mamadou Lamin Taro, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Accreditation and Quality Assurance Authority, NAQA, says a structured apprenticeship system will provide young people with the workplace exposure needed to improve their employability, while also giving businesses an opportunity to develop a skilled workforce.
Rapid technological advancement, globalization, and changing industry demands require us to modernize our apprenticeship system to ensure that it remains relevant, competitive, and responsive to the needs of employers and the economy.
The proposed policy seeks to move apprenticeship from largely informal and traditional systems of skills transfer into a standardized, nationally recognized, and quality-assured system. The policy will provide a framework of competency-based training, workplace learning, assessment, and certification, while establishing clearer responsibilities for government, training institutions, and employers. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jacqueline Coley. For communities along West Africa's coastline, rising sea levels, coastal erosion, and flooding are increasingly threatening homes and livelihoods. In Côte d'Ivoire, the West Africa Coastal Areas Management Program, WACA, is working with vulnerable communities to strengthen their resilience. Jenna Basonko reports from Grand Lahou, Côte d'Ivoire, where she now looks at how the WACA project is responding to growing threats posed by coastal erosion, flooding, and rising sea levels.
From the coastal town of Grand Lahou in southern Côte d'Ivoire, a boat takes us towards communities living on the front line of a changing coastline. Here, the sea is both a source of livelihood and an increasing serious threat. When the village was relocated, some people moved to the new site, while others, including us, remained here. Over time, the erosion continued, and eventually, we were also forced to move. I personally had to relocate almost 3 times. This is the 3rd place where I have lived, and this is how I ended up here with my family. Coastal erosion has caused numerous damage. The last time I had to move, I was away from home selling small items when someone called me to say that the sea was already reaching my home. I rushed back, and by the time I arrived, the waves already at my doorstep. It was devastating. I broke down and cried. We lost everything. As you can see, even today, I have not fully recovered. It has not been easy. The challenges facing Grand Lahou reflect a wider problem across West Africa. The region's coastline is increasingly exposed. The challenges facing Grand Lahou reflect a wider problem across West Africa. The region's coastline is highly exposed to erosion, flooding, and the effects of climate change. The West Africa Coastal Areas Program, WACA, is supporting the small community of Grand Lahou in Côte d'Ivoire to strengthen coastal resilience and protect vulnerable communities.
Stabilizing the coastal strip has enabled communities to live with greater security and resume their livelihoods. People can remain in their villages and settlements, work on their farms, go fishing, and carry out activities that provide for their families. Before the wars, the constant threat from the sea affected their daily lives. People could hardly leave for their farms without worrying that water might reach their homes while they were away.
WACA's intervention in Côte d'Ivoire also includes livelihood support and helping vulnerable coastal communities strengthen alternative sources of income. One example is a rabbit farmer who received support through the program. He says the assistance has changed his life, helping him improve his rabbit farming business and strengthen his livelihood. The experience in Grand Lahou offers an opportunity for the Gambia to see what has worked elsewhere. There have been questions raised on the pace of WACA interventions in the Gambia. Here is Ablai C., a WACA communication specialist who is with the delegation.
For Gambia, it's too soon to show infrastructure. As I indicated, we are WACA Receipt 2, so the countries that we have visited in the past couple of years, we've been to Togo in 2024, Mauritania 2025, and Ivory Coast 2026. These are countries that are in WACA Receipt 1, which started in 2018. Gambia and Guinea-Bissau started, and Ghana started in 2023. We are yet to get to the infrastructure stage. We've finalized the studies in Gambia.
As climate change continues to reshape West Africa's coastline, the experience of Grand Lahou highlights the urgent need for long-term solutions. For the communities living closest to the sea, protecting the coastline means protecting homes, livelihoods, and their future. Jaina Basonko reporting for QTV News from Côte d'Ivoire.
We will now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have more international news. Do stay tuned.
Important news for prospective pilgrims. Ajib Bank Limited, in collaboration with the Gambia International Airlines (GIA), has officially commenced the collection of deposit payments for the 2027 Hajj pilgrimage. Intending pilgrims planning to perform the holy journey with the nation's premier travel operator can now secure their spots early. The initial deposit required to register for the 2027 Hajj package is $400,000. Payments can be made at any Ajib Bank branch nationwide. After making your deposit, remember to present your bank payment slip to the Gambia International Airlines offices to update your records and finalize your registration. As seats are allocated on a first-come, first-served basis, early registration is strongly encouraged to guarantee your spot for this sacred journey. For further details on registration requirements and account information, visit your nearest Ajib Bank branch or contact the Gambia International Airlines Hajj Secretariat.
In today's world, speed matters, but slow internet can hold you back. Now, the future of connectivity has arrived in the Gambia. QCell's Q-Fiber, ultra-fast, ultra-reliable internet designed for the way you live. Stream your favorite shows without buffering. Power your business with seamless video calls. Study, work, and play online like never before. From homes to businesses, QCell Fiber is connecting the Gambia to the future. QCell's Q-Fiber. Get connected today. Call 145 or 300-3779. QCell. We innovate, others follow.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News, and I am Jacqueline Coley. Here are the rest of tonight's stories. In international news, on August 15, 1960, the Republic of Congo became independent from France, joining a wave of African nations breaking away from colonial rule. 66 years later, the country has experienced political transformation, economic booms, conflict, and efforts to build a more stable and diversified future. More in this report.
Before independence, the territory was known as Moyen Congo and formed part of French Equatorial Africa. In 1958, it gained internal autonomy and became the Republic of Congo. 2 years later, on August 15, 1960, it achieved full independence from France, with Fulbert Yulu becoming its first president. The new nation entered independence with a small economy largely dependent on agriculture, forestry, trade, and services. Timber was a major export, while unemployment was already a serious concern, particularly in the cities. Politically, independence did not bring lasting stability. Yulu was forced to resign in 1963 after widespread protests linked to labor unrest and opposition to his plans for a single-party system. Alphonse Mansabadeba succeeded him, but Congo soon moved toward Marxist-inspired politics. In 1968, Mansabadeba was overthrown, and Marian Gube came to power. The Congolese Labour Party was later established as the ruling Marxist Party. The country later experienced further political turbulence and civil conflict, particularly during the 1990s. Years of instability were accompanied by economic difficulties, debt, and weak governance. Oil eventually transformed the economy. Today, petroleum accounts for roughly half of GDP and about 80% of exports. making Congo one of sub-Saharan Africa's major oil producers. However, dependence on oil has also left the economy vulnerable to price fluctuations and limited job creation. Today, President Denis Sassou Nguesso remains in power after winning fifth consecutive term in March 2026. Economic has returned, but poverty, inequality, debt, and youth unemployment remain major challenges. The government is increasingly looking toward agriculture, manufacturing, and services to diversify the economic and build a more inclusive future. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lenisa Gomez.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is battling the second largest Ebola outbreak ever recorded, with over 4,000 confirmed cases and almost 2,000 deaths reported as of August 7th, according to Congolese health authorities. The outbreak is affecting 5 provinces. Victor Okoro tells us more.
The outbreak caused by the rare Bundibugyo species of Ebola was officially declared on May 15, 2026. However, investigations indicate that the virus had been spreading undetected for months, with evidence suggesting transmission may have begun as early as January. Weak surveillance, population movement, and difficulties tracing contacts have made containment particularly challenging. The outbreak strains present an additional challenge because there is currently no approved vaccines or proven specific treatment for it. Researchers are now testing experimental vaccines, while health authorities rely on surveillance, isolation, supportive care, infection prevention, and community engagement to control the outbreak. On May 17th, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak in Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concerns, citing the risk of further international spread. However, the WHO said it did not meet the criteria for a pandemic emergency. The Democratic Republic of Congo's health minister, Samuel Roger Kamba, addressed the ongoing Ebola concerns, noting a high fatality rate and detailing response efforts in the affected provinces. He highlighted that the response involved regional surveillance, mobile labs, and deploying medical supplies alongside the World Health Organization. The outbreak has already surpassed Congo's previous largest Ebola epidemic and now ranks second globally, behind the 2014 to 2016 West Africa outbreak. Health authorities are now intensifying surveillance and research as they race to slow transmission and prevent further regional spread. For QTV News, I am Victor Okoro.
Clothing factories in KwaZulu-Natal, a major manufacturing center in South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province, are struggling with labor shortages after migrant workers fled the area during a wave of anti-immigrant protests and threats. Lenisa Gomez tells us more.
South Africa has experienced repeated outbreaks of xenophobic violence since the end of apartheid. One of the most serious episodes occurred in 2008, when attacks against migrants spread across the country, leaving more than 60 people dead and forcing thousands from their homes. Foreign nationals have since continued to face discrimination, intimidation, and periodic attacks, often amid public anger over unemployment, poverty, and competition for jobs and services. The latest tensions intensified in 2026, with the anti-immigrant group March and March blaming undocumented migrants for South Africa's high unemployment rate. The group issued a June 30th deadline for undocumented migrants to leave the country. As protests and threats increase, many migrants reportedly closed their businesses, abandoned their homes, and left their workplaces. Some sought refuge in neighboring countries, while others moved to safer areas within South Africa. The Southern African Clothing and Textile Workers Union estimates that about 50% of Newcastle's 15,000 textile workers left during the protests. Factory owners said they lost between 12 and 19% of their workforce. Some of those who left were experienced mechanists and garment workers whose skills are difficult to replace. Some of those who left were experienced mechanists and garment workers whose skills are difficult to replace. Employers say they mainly hire South Africans but depend on skilled workers from neighboring Lesotho and Eswatini because of their experience in the clothing industry. However, The workers' union dispute claims of a skills shortage, arguing that many qualified South Africans are available but unwilling to accept low-paying factory jobs. That situation highlights the difficult balance facing South Africa. Efforts to create jobs for citizens through tougher actions against undocumented migrants are also disrupting industries that rely on migrant labor. Factory owners wondered if labor shortages, weak orders and rising costs continue, more factories could close, potentially resulting in even greater job losses for South Africans. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lenisa Gomez.
That's all for this bulletin. Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. for the Week in Review with news anchor Mam Nabuka joining Ade Darame. Thanks for watching. Do have a great day.